Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR, and I'm joined this morning by two guests. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
We have,
Morning.
good morning. This morning we have Theresa Hill, who is HAR's Global Advisory Group Chair. And we have Lori Carper, who is HAR's Director of Events and Global. So thank you, ladies, for taking time to join us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
I actually saw something in the comments. Somebody said they're very excited that we're talking about international real estate this morning because they have many listings in Portugal and Costa Rica. So they're excited to hear from you today. If we could start, though, with just some brief self introductions. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. And we can start with you, Theresa.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. My name is Theresa Hill, and I am the VP of Sales for Greenwood King Properties in the Heights. And I am your 2021 HAR Chair for the Global Advisory Group. And I'm happy to be here this morning.
Very good. Lori?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lori Carper. I'm your HAR Director of Meetings and Events and also your global program. So I'm really happy to be here. I've known Theresa for quite a while. We earned our CIPS designation together. So I'm really happy to have her as the chair of the Global Advisory Group this year. And thank you, Christina, for having us on today.
Of course. We're excited to hear from you because you've made some exciting changes and some new developments and programs. So we're looking forward to hearing about that today. Just starting off, Theresa, if you could just tell us a little bit about what is the global program at HAR, who's involved, and what does the program do?
Sure. So, our global advisory group, we actually just got a new name. We had been known as the HAR International Advisory Group. And in January of this year, the board of directors took our recommendation and approved the name to be changed to Global Advisory Group. And this was just to stay more in line with what NAR and TR and some of the other global networks within the nation were doing. But the Global Advisory Group, we create educational programs and networking business opportunities that relate to global real estate industry. We also promote the visibility of Area 82, which I think we'll talk about here in a few minutes. And we also encourage all of our applicants to either have the CIPS designation or a commitment to get the CIPS designation.
Very good. And
And we,
see, go ahead. Go ahead.
we typically meet about anywhere between 4 to 6 times a year.
Okay. Very good. And just so we're all aware, CIPS stands for Certified International Property Specialist. And what else does that designation, what does that come with? What does that do?
So it is a designation. It's an NAR designation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a 5-day program, and it is we're actually pretty fortunate that it's taught by our chair, our HAR chair, Richard Miranda, and it's a pretty intense program, but it offers techniques and obviously information about different areas of the world,
Mm-hmm.
such as one day is dedicated to Asia, another day is designated to the Americas, and we talk about the currency and their customs and the way that they do business, and maybe their real estate language barriers. It's such a intense program, and it covers so much information. It's probably one of the most valuable things that I've done in my entire real estate career.
Excellent. Excellent. We'll talk some more about educational opportunities in a little bit. Lori, you pay attention to Houston happenings and demographics and things that are happening in the Houston area. Can you tell us a little bit about the demographic makeup of Houston, and why is this so important for realtors to be aware of?
Of course. Thank you for asking. Yeah, the Houston demographics have really changed over the last couple of decades. And the latest stats I have are from 2019. And it shows that the Houston Metropolitan Statistical Area, easy for me to say, the Houston A, as it's known, which is Houston, the Sugarland area, and the Woodlands. We have a population 38% Hispanic, whereas the entire US is an 18% Hispanic. So a lot more Hispanics are in our area. Anglo population in the Houston MSA, 35%, whereas in the US overall it's 60%. African American population in the Houston MSA, 17% versus 12% in the rest of the country, and Asian, 8% population here versus 6% of the entire US population. So there's really no racial or ethnic group that is a majority here in the Houston MSA, which is really wonderful. And it's kind of the way the rest of the United States is moving toward, but we're already there. So it's really important for our agents to realize that your next client may not look like your last client, and that you need to be aware of how to work with people from different cultures and different countries. And that's where we come in the global program.
Very good. And there are actually several multicultural real estate groups here in Houston. Can you tell us a little bit about those, Lori?
Sure. We're really lucky to have some really dynamic real estate associations that are within the HAR family, if you will. There's NAREP, which is a National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. We have 3 chapters here in the greater Houston area, which is incredible. There's 2 Asian American Real Estate Association groups. One's the Asian American Real Estate and one's the Asian Real Estate. So there's 2 groups there. We have an African American group that's really strong, known as NAREB in the U.S. world, but it's known as Realtist here. So if anyone is interested in joining any of those associations, I would recommend it. They're really good. They have got great programs. Just send me an email to Lori, Lori, at hr.com, and I'm happy to send you information on the group you're interested in joining.
Okay, very good. We've already had a couple questions coming in from members. One asking how to get involved with the committees, which Theresa, you'll talk about that a little later. But one question that came in from Rashonda is, would you encourage somebody who is not bilingual to get involved with global? Is that a requirement of any sort?
Oh, not at all. We have a member finder database where you can input if you speak another language or if you specialize in another culture. So if you don't speak a certain language, but you love that country, you could specialize in that culture and input your information in the HAR member finder database, and you would pop up when people were searching for that particular country. We have 7,000 to 8,000 members that are in that international database, and they're our automatic members of our global business network. So they receive emails. We send out a broadcast email on Friday about this show to get them to watch today, and they'll get information about classes and different networking things that we have coming up that are global in nature.
Very good. So we've maybe heard comments in the past that, well, isn't global real estate just for agents that sell tropical island getaways to the Caribbean? How does it apply to me? And Theresa, I want to ask you this question. How does global real estate apply to you? And do you believe your knowledge of global real estate has helped your business grow?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The global real estate, I guess the broad way to think of it is ingoing and outgoing. So, obviously ingoing would be someone coming in from another country into the US, and then outgoing, one of those that we would all love to do is having that client that wants to buy a tropical home in the Caribbean. But I do think that a lot of times you may have participated in an international transaction and not really even realized it. And that may be assisting a recent immigrant with their first home in your local market. It could be helping a client with the purchase of a vacation home in the Caribbean, or it could be working with a client that speaks a different language, or a number of different scenarios. But yes, I do feel that it definitely has helped my business, and it is because of Houston just being such a diverse city. That's kind of how I first got into the global real estate business. I used to deal a lot with high rises, and so many of our clients were people from Mexico and Canada and Russia, and we are in just such a diverse city that I think it's almost applicable to just about anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned Area 82 earlier, and I want to dive into that a little bit because many members might not be aware what Area 82 is, that it even exists. So can you tell us a little bit about how to input listings, global listings into the MLS, and how is it different than inputting a local listing?
Yes. So putting in a global listing is quite simple, to be quite honest. It's really just the same way, putting in a regular listing, except there are going to be obviously some required fields that that you have to put in something else.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the slideshow?
We do. So we actually have a presentation that you all prepared, and we can add that link in the comments. It's, I believe, about 11 or 12 slides that kind of walks you through it.
Yes, yes. So we will put that in the chat room, but it's basically a step by step. And of course, this was done by our MLS hero Nathan. So thank you, Nathan, for having that for us. But yes, so Area 82 is the area that you would use, and you would simply go to Add Edit. Add a new listing. And it really is just the same, you're going to have the same prompts, but
Mm-hmm.
of course there's going to be some fields that are not applicable, sometimes even such as the address.
Mm-hmm.
You may not have a number and a street address. You may have to put in zeros. You obviously won't have a county or things like that. But it is very much like putting in a brand new listing, and the slideshow is just a step by step. It's quite easy.
Very good. Yes, and we did share that link in the comments. For anybody that's interested, it takes you to the PowerPoint that you can then view or download to your computer. So very good. So Lori, we actually had some questions about coming in the chat about how do I find statistics. So I know that HAR has done surveys in the past, and we survey the membership about global. So what are some findings from your most recent survey?
Sure, let me pull those up. I did want to mention, on top of what Theresa had said about Area 82, please remember it's part of the MLS. So you've got to have all the same paperwork signed as if you were taking a listing from Memorial or Bel Air. You still have to get the seller's disclosure and the seller to sign the agreement and listing agreement. And we have a form in Forms Manager 301 that you can use, that we created a couple of years ago, the Global Advisory Group. But don't think that just because it's global that you don't have to follow the NAR mandated MLS rules. So just
Okay,
wanted to put that in. And
good
let's
point.
see, for my survey, I just wanted to say, okay, so we've done this about 10 years now. And from the 2020 survey, which was done in October, which seems like forever ago because real estate really changed since then. The reason that a lot of global investors or buyers looked at Houston was the affordability here versus other U.S. cities and the low mortgage rates. Those were big drivers of international business in Houston last year. But also, a lot of the survey people that answered the survey felt like their international business had decreased a little because of the limited travel. People couldn't travel as they could in years past due to the pandemic, so their business was off a little.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were more global investors in Houston than in years past, and more global clients wanted to purchase in the suburbs, which I think most people wanted to purchase in the suburbs was the trend last year.
Mm-hmm.
Industrial and manufacturing properties, raw land, and multifamily were the big drivers in the commercial front. That's what they were interested in, global investors. And Mexico, China, and Europe were the three main areas that they came from to Houston. And one last thing, the strongest demand was for properties between $100,000 and $400,000. The largest increase in demand was between the $400,000 to $500,000 mark.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And we did have a question that came in. Richard was asking, where can we find statistics for global clients, countries of origin, global employers, transferring employees, etc.? Do you know of a place where we can have those statistics?
One really good place to start, and it sounds weird, is the CIA Fact Book. You can look up a country under the CIA Fact Book and find out all about that country. Say Argentina, and you wanted to know, what companies were there, what they were doing, industry wise, social wise, politically. It's a good place to start. There's a couple other publications. NAR Global has some great research that they've done, and you can pull up their research. It comes out annually. Texas Realtors has a global home buying report. We do our home buying report. So there's lots of information out there.
Okay,
You just have to dig a little.
very good.
And I would also add the Greater Houston Partnership.
Mhm.
They have a really good global segment as well.
Excellent.
That focus more locally, but yes, it's a good source as well.
Excellent. I want to take a few questions from our members. Glenda was asking about listing or a global listing, I should say. How is the global listing managed? Do we need local partners to help show the listing, etc.? So, Theresa or Lori, do you have any advice on that?
Yes. So, it's kind of a broad question, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously every country is going to have um, kind of their own rules or regulations, or perhaps no rules and regulations. It really just depends on what country we're talking about. But our advice, and I believe that Grant Harpold, our legal advisor as well, we have always talked about that you should always, always, always have some sort of a trusted source that's there on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that it would be fabulous if you could visit um, the country that you're listing in, and know a little bit about what you're listing. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be great if you could actually go there. But for sure, you do need someone there that is kind of your go-to,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, and that is there, you know, at that country, and that knows maybe the rules and regulations and the customs, and it's just kind of an arm for you, to have
Yeah,
someone there.
that makes sense.
I wanted to add, if I could, I'm going to circle back to the CIPS and the
Mm-hmm.
importance of having that designation. NAR has a CIPS directory available on their website, and you can research and find someone who has that designation in that country where the listing is. So you would feel probably more comfortable, or possibly, after you interview them, with working with them than someone that you didn't know. Because
Mm-hmm.
having the CIPS designation, they're familiar with how we do business. They've gone through the 40-hour course, as Theresa and I have, and they would be able to work with you possibly, better than someone who did not have the designation.
Great, excellent. Actually, and Wanda was asking that question: how would you find somebody to work with? So, excellent. Very good. So there was also a question about lending. Could international buyers apply for mortgages?
Yes, so they can. There's different banks and companies here in the U.S. that do lend to people from other countries. You kind of have to. Um, that's probably a really good question to put on the very successful Facebook page for the platinum subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of really feed off each other. I've got a buyer from Mexico, and they want to finance, and who can they work with? Because there's different banks that have programs that work with people from other countries.
Okay, very good. There's also a question about timeshares. Are we able to post timeshares or rentals in Area 82? What about things like Airbnb, listings?
Do you want to take that, Lori, or you want me to?
I was going to say that if you can do that in other areas of the MLS,
Mm-hmm.
then you could do it in Area 82. I'm not a realtor, so I don't, do we do that? Do we do Airbnb on? I don't think so. So I'm going to say no.
No, I don't think that that was the intent either
Hmm.
for Area 82. Um, but that may even be a grant question.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something we can get back with you on, Veronica, in the comments. We can follow up afterwards. That is no problem. All right. Very good. Let me see. Okay. So the Global Business Network, Lori, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. Theresa, can you give us a little more details about what is the newly formed Global Business Network?
Yes, so we recently formed the Global Business Network, and these are our members that either speak another language and or specialize in another culture, and they're just wanting to to perhaps network and receive information. We did start a bi-monthly global newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a member of the Global Business Network, this is sent to you. Um, I think we just rolled this out just this year, and right now we have about 7 to 8 thousand members. Um, so if anybody is interested at all, please either reach out to Lori or myself.
Excellent. Do you have anything to add to that, Lori?
Yeah, just send me an email, Lori@har.com, Lori, and I'm happy to add you to the subscription list of the Global Business Newsletter. And we try to put things in there like a snapshot from the survey, maybe the top 10 countries that hit har.com the month prior, just some different information that might help you in your global real estate career.
Okay, very good. And there was some follow-up questions about the rentals or timeshares, and we did get an answer from Nathan. Timeshares and fractional ownership listings are allowed on the MLS as long as the documentation is in order. So, similar to how you mentioned, Theresa, and a global listing, you still have to follow the MLS rules. So. Very good. So, Lori, I know there's been a lot of programs that have been added in the last year, along with everybody making changes to virtual and things like that. Can you tell us about some of the global programs and services that have been added within the last year?
Sure. One thing that we're really excited about that we just started last month was the Global Learning Lab. And this is kind of a takeoff of the really successful virtual labs that HAR Development has been offering for the past year. And our next one is on May 19th at 10 a.m. You don't need to pre-register. You can just sign in that day on the Zoom link and show up and ask your question. We have a panel of Grant Harpold, our legal counsel, Theresa Hill, our advisory group chair, and Richard Miranda, our HAR chairman, who also has an extensive international background. So we had a really good attendance for the first one that we did back in April. We're really excited about that. We talked about the global newsletter. That's new. That just started this year. The CIPS class, putting that on with Metro Text, that was something that we started last year, and it was really went over really well because we had lots of interaction with the students from Dallas and Houston and their different points of view about what's happening in global. So we're going to do that again this year. So it's really kind of having to go online. We can reach so many more people, and we can get a lot of speakers that we normally would not be able to get. We started a summer series last year where you were taught how to work with people from Mexico, India, and Canada. And those are recorded and they're available on the HR TV channel on YouTube. So we encourage you to watch those.
Okay. We had a question that came in about the Global Business Network from Richard. He said, would you allow members to join who aren't bilingual and don't specialize in another culture?
Yes, absolutely. If you and we have asked people that they just want to receive that bi-monthly newsletter, and definitely, if you will just send an email to Lori, and she will get you added to that list.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So you've mentioned a few CE courses. We talked about CIPS. Can you tell us, are any other global centric courses that offer CE credit? Theresa.
Yes, we do offer the At Home with Diversity, which is, I believe it's an 8-hour CE course. And then we also have, Lori mentioned our Global Day. We used to call it International Day. And I believe we have that scheduled for November of this year. And that is a 6 hour CE course. And then, of course, the CIPS, which we will have in October, again, taught by Richard Miranda. But that has a total of 40 CE hours that are available. So lots of opportunities to get some global real estate education and information, along with getting some CE courses at the same time.
Yes, very good. And we can also put the links to that. And I believe, Lori, you mentioned earlier that people can already register for Global Day. Is that correct? Yeah. And I think the date on that was November 3rd. So we can share that in the chat as well. Lori, I heard that there is a Spanish version of Matrix in the works. Can you tell us the status of that?
Christina just knows everything. Yes, you are right. That rumor is true. We're looking for it to come out in the third quarter of this year. We're really excited to have it. It'll be at no additional cost to members and just think a big service. So look for that third quarter.
Okay, very good. That's exciting to hear. And, this was actually one of the first questions we got from our members is how can they get involved? So, Theresa, can you tell us how can members get involved with HAR's global program?
Well, we always encourage, anyone to apply to join the Global Advisory Group. And I think, are those usually sent out, October, November, maybe, Lori?
Yes.
For the following year. So fall for the following year. And then if you will email either Lori or myself, we would be more than happy to talk to you more about it, or to see how we can help in your global real estate endeavors.
Very good.
I wanted to add that I just noticed that TR is opening up their application period to serve on a committee, and they have a global committee as well. So we want to encourage you maybe to join at the state level or even the NAR level, as well as get involved in some of these other real estate associations that we have in the Houston area. Even if you're not of that culture, they're very welcoming and open and want you to attend their programs. And that way you can learn, you can meet a lot of different people and network and learn more about global real estate.
Very good. Thank you, ladies, for all this information you've been sharing. Actually, in addition to the Spanish version of Matrix, Rita did mention in the comments we are currently offering both new member orientation and MLS classes in Spanish as well. So I wanted to make sure that we mentioned that. And thank you. I see Theresa Murphy added the link to that in the comments if anybody's interested in taking those Spanish versions of those courses. Well, ladies, this has been so helpful. Lots of great information. Do you have any final words or final thoughts for our members? And we can start with you on that, Theresa.
I really do encourage everyone to get involved with the local association, whether it be with the global or anything else. But I certainly have enjoyed this morning. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. And Lori?
I just wanted to add that I think a lot more people are conducting global transactions than they realize. You just really kind of need to examine your market niche and what you want to excel in, and we're here to help you. And thank you for having us, Christina.
Thank you. And again, thank you both for all the information you shared today. And thank you for some of our members. I saw some new names in the comments. So if this was your first time watching Member Focus Monday, thank you. We're here every Monday at 9 a.m. And we will see you next Monday at 9 a.m. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.